Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. I was born in Karachi, and almost as soon as I was born, I was whisked off to the United States. We lived there for 5 years, and then we came back to Pakistan. After that, I went back to the United States for my own college degree and grad school degree. I went to a liberal arts college for women called Wellesley College, very well known for some of its famous graduates, Hillary Clinton being the most famous. And I studied psychology there. And then I settled down pretty much permanently after that here. Well, I'm Sindhi on both sides of my family. My mother's side is from Hyderabad. My father's side is from a small village outside of Hyderabad called Matiari. And that also happens to be the area where Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai came from, Bina Shah. So he's actually a blood ancestor of mine. And my mother's side of the family is quite urbanized Sindhi. My grandfather was a chief engineer for Sindh. On my father's side, we are landowning agriculturalists for several generations back, and very conservative and very traditional family. My grandfather was a very cultured man. He was very interested in music and poetry. He used to have musicians come and perform. He used to sponsor the old ustads. So yes, culture, music was very important to my grandfather, and he was also involved in politics. My grandfather was a member of the Sindh legislature, and my great-grandfather was given a title by the British. So there's a long line of people that go back that have had something to do with the politics and the events of Sindh. Well, Sindhis are so fond of Sufism because it's part of our cultural heritage. All over Sindh are the shrines, and the saints were very important to people's practice of religion and the cultural development. So it's something that's in the blood. So I've tried to broaden my understanding just from the local understanding of Sufism to the bigger picture. And it's very, very interesting. So you can write about very superficial things, skim the surface of whatever topic, and that's fine, you'll make your statement. But if you want it to really affect your readers, not just here, but here at this level as well, you want to bring in elements of the bigger questions of life. I try to bring that into my writing. Writing books is a lot more fun than editing an IT magazine. There was always a creative side that kept coming out at the wrong times. I'd be working and, looking at something very serious, and then I'd be like, okay, I've got this idea for a story. Write it down a little bit. Then, okay, why didn't I just write an opening paragraph? And then, okay, I just want to write a little bit more. And, eventually it was just too much. I said, I have a feeling I'd rather be doing this than this. I can't read popular fiction except for maybe sometimes a silly romance, but that's very rare. I love to read contemporary fiction, literary fiction. I love to read a lot of nonfiction, and I am not afraid at all of using that word. Most people think, oh, feminism, it's an F word. I don't want to call myself that, feminazi, and this. But it's unfortunately, I can't write longhand. I write either on a desktop or a laptop computer. There's no longhand about it for me, because I think so fast that I have to have it down that quickly. Well, if I sat and waited for an idea, I'd be sitting here for 1,000 years and there'd be cobwebs growing on me. If you sit and wait for them and you just say, okay, I'm not going to do anything until I have the idea, then the idea won't come. As far as homegrown writers writing in English, a lot of work needs to be done in that area. I'm not satisfied with what I see. I cover every social strata. I cover the poorest of the poor to the most elite, the middle class. I have really tried to be fair about what Karachi is and what it isn't. I always like to say that living in Karachi is like living right in the middle of a Salvador Dali painting, because it's just the most surreal place on earth. No normal rules apply. You don't know what you're going to get. The city is so fraught with tension, and yet there are so many good things in it that it's a real dichotomy. You don't know whether you're going to wake up and hate it or wake up and love it from one day to the next. So in that sense, it's always unpredictable. Karachi is always a surprise. And what offsets all of the instability in our environments is the stability we have in our homes and in our family systems and in our religion. So somehow you keep going, somehow you make it through. Absolutely adore, adore, adore watching cooking shows. I just like watching food being prepared. It's kind of a poetry in its own self. I think as much as I like to cook, I like to feed other people. I'm always feeding my family. There's always somebody waiting for something to eat, so I just make it and I say, here, have this. Nobody has everything figured out and you can never tell the future, but we have a big hand in creating our own present. And being in control of that makes me happy as well. And chocolate. Having a Lindt store opening in Zamzama, the Lindt boutique, made me very happy. It was like Christmas and birthdays all in one. I started playing the flute when I was 12, and then I taught myself how to play the piano. And at the moment, I'm learning the guitar. So music is really, really important to me. It soothes the savage beast that we all have in ourselves. Well, she'll be writing, hopefully. After that, then who knows?